Good afternoon. It's time for our word of the day, which is treasure. Now, when I think of treasure, the first thing that tends to come to mind is a pirate's treasure. I was looking for some of those things that, you know, the effects that I could put on, so it would be pirate, but I couldn't find it. Anyway, so that's the first word that comes to mind for me. But it comes this day from a couple different places in Scripture. First is from the Matthew passage in Matthew 6, 19 to 21, where it says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Treasures we do think of, as I said, with pirates, of what they steal from others, what they take from others. We think of our treasures in terms of often material items, or even just those. We think also of when treasures used in Scripture in Luke's Gospel, where it talks about Mary treasured all these things in her heart. So what do we treasure? What is important to us? What are those things that if a fire were to happen at your house would be the first things that you made sure that you got out? What do we treasure? The other thing that also often comes to mind for me is growing up, my dad played guitar at church, so the last hymn or the last song of all of our worship services was done on guitar. So lots of songs from that time. But one of my favorites was called "Earthen Vessels," which is based on a Corinthians passage, whereas we hold this treasure not made of gold in earthen vessels, wealth untold. That the treasure really is the love of Christ that dwells within our hearts. That the things of this world do fade, they do rust, or moths consume, thieves break in and steal. They're transitory. But the treasure that we truly can hold on to, the treasure that cannot be stolen, that cannot wear out, that can never be taken from us or lost, the treasure that we can always hold on to, is the love of Christ that is poured out upon us. So in these earthen vessels, in these human bodies that we have, the treasure that we look to is always the Christ, is always God, is always God's love. So as you reflect on the word treasure for this day, think about not only those things, those items, or those people that you treasure, but think about that unending treasure of Christ's love. On our Trinity Devotions blog, I'll post a link here. There is a link there and the lyrics there from the song "Earthen Vessels." So hopefully you've had some chance to reflect on this word treasure, and we will talk to you again either tomorrow. We'll talk to you tomorrow, either in video or in written form. On our blog, you can also find the previous words for this past week. So hopefully you're having a blessed day and you have much to treasure from this day. Talk to you soon.